Morning. Sean has announced that this month's Cast Iron Wednesday will be maple orientated. So yesterday I attempted it and it worked. I made some maple sugar on the wood stove. I'm going to use this spoon. This cast iron pan, I'm going to use this one. I don't know if that's a Lodge or who made it, but they were made to set right down in. You took a griddle off your stove. It's down there, right there. And you put these on your stove and they sat right down into the heat. Now, I was amazed. I got to get a little syrup in that pan, but it's alright. It's just melting the syrup off that I couldn't get out once it turned to candy, which isn't going to hurt anything. But I'm going to pour about a quart of maple syrup in the pan. Sorry, I have to turn you away for a minute. You can see that pan heats up very quickly. And put the cover back on that. I don't have the camera on a tripod right now because it's quite cool out this morning. Waiting for this place to warm up a little bit. And we'll get the candy thermometer set in there. That was one of the mistakes I made before, is I wasn't paying attention and it got away from me and I overcooked it. And it really takes a short amount of time this way. I was really amazed. So I'm going to get the camera on a tripod and try to remember where I set the candy thermometer. Right there. Not a problem. Make sure it's turned the right way so I can read it. And we'll clip it right on the bail to this. Whoops, that's on the spoon. There, that should be good right there. And we just keep the fire going, keep an eye on things and see how it goes. I am amazed. Hey, that warms up quick. You can start to see there's a little steam coming off that already. At how quick. And I've only got crap in there for a fire. It's just some chunks of cedar. Anyway, I will bring you back. I won't bore you the whole time. We'll let this get to a boil and I'll bring you back. Oh, and for a mold for the sugar, I'm going to use this Griswold. I guess it's like a muffin tin. I've had it quite a while. It's a nice old piece. I don't know if you can make the name out there or not. It's stamped in the bottom. Erie, Pennsylvania, Griswold, number 10. I can't read the other one, don't have my glasses on right now. But I'm going to use that to pour it in. And I've got some butter to butter that with so they don't stick, hopefully. Maybe they will. Anyway, it's heating up nicely and I'll bring you back shortly. There, it just went to a nice boil, which is relatively normal. It shows you we have good heat there going. I got to keep an eye on it. If it's going to boil over, I'll have to lift it up because I don't want to put butter or anything in it at this stage. And when I say put butter in it, that is just putting like a little tiny, just take a little, they used to use a twig when you were in the sugar house. They stick it in butter and you just touch it and it would lay it right down. Well, I don't want to do that. I'm trying to make sugar. I do have my flashlight. And if you can see the 250, probably steaming up the lens, we got a little ways to go. We're getting up there on the thermometer. We're getting towards softball. I have to keep stirring it, but I wanted you to see it. You see those bubbles coming up? That's called bullseyeing again. Syrup does that, and we are getting very close to sugar. I almost think it would crystallize now if I took it off and stirred it. And I'll bring you back. Sounded like that thermometer just broke. If it did, we're going to throw this all away. Okay, Okay, I gotta get a little butter in this pan. It's just, you know, like putting it on anything so it doesn't stick. That's all. I do not want them to stick in the pan. And I probably should have melted that a little bit. It's kind of chilly out here this morning. I'm hoping this works. And we're moving along. If I had left the camera on for this whole thing, you'd be surprised. And if I can't get them out of here, well, I can heat it up and pour them out. That's probably enough for the amount of syrup I've got. Yeah, I'm not going to need them all. So we'll set this aside. And I want to bring it back up to the pan. And the thermometer is darn near there. It's got a little ways to go, but it's surprising at how much heat this puts out. I've only been less than 15 minutes to get to this stage with it, which is quite phenomenal. And that red mark right down there is softball, and that's about where I want to be, maybe just a hair above it. Well, I'll shut you off for a little while longer. Okay, we're there on the softball stage. We're going to remove it from the heat. I'm going to let it set about 10 minutes, and then I will stir it, and we will pour it into the molds. Alright, it's at softball, so I'm going to take it off, because if I go too long, well, it actually gets harder. You have to break it apart at that point. I'm worried my thermometer's not accurate because it's boiling like it's way above softball. One thing I'll try to show you quickly is the old timers used to use this theory here. If you watch that spoon, it's going to do what they call spin a hair right there, and boy, it's done. I got to get it off in there. One mistake that I'm making with this setup, if you can see that, is I don't allow for the cast irons extra time to cook. If I was using a traditional, no, not traditional, this is traditional. If I was using a modern, I'll use that word, tin pan, when I take it off the heat, it starts to cool immediately. Well, this was still boiling. It's been off the stove probably 3 minutes. And when you get right to a stage, you can go over it fast. There's a lot of amazing things about maple sugar. Now, once this candies, even if it's too hard, I can take a piece of that and put it in a pan and heat it up and turn it right back to a liquid. I can add a little water, very little, and make syrup again, or I can just use it thick and it will go right back to a candied state when I pour it on pancakes or anything if I wanted to do that. Or you could just eat it like that. It lasts and preserves itself longer. Well, when I stir it, it's just a matter of just stirring it. And all of a sudden it's like it's time to pour. And you need to pour. Because if you don't, so I don't know if I'll get that on film or not. But we'll get this stirred and see how we go from there. Okay? Okay, I poured it in the mold. How hot is that? It's not bad. Oh, it's warm there. And we're going to bring it out here. Oh yeah, it's setting up. I just hope I can get it out of there. I probably should have used a nice little a glass jar. Probably used a knife to get it out. To just eat it. But anyway, we'll let it set. Let's see what happens. If I can't get it out, well, we'll spread it on toast and take it out that way. Looking at my dish, I was a little bit slow to pour. And it's going to candy. I think that thermometer's messed up. This is more than softball. This is beyond. This would almost make what you'd call maple candy that would be crunchy, which is good also. It's not a bad thing. But we'll let that mold cool down. I put them in. Hopefully they'll pour out of there. But that is way beyond that. We were kids, digging the pan was always a great treat, or the spoon. Oh yeah, it's gonna candy. It's nice. Well, I'm gonna bring it back. I'm gonna pour the mold out. Hopefully they pop right out of there nicely, and go from there. Okay, final part here. Life is an education. I'm not gonna rate this as a total failure because the syrup is usable, but a real candy mold is flexible, and you can kind of work it to get the candy out. Cast iron is not flexible, but this was cast iron cooking. I used a knife on that one and dug it out because I'm not going to pound on that cast iron pan hard enough to get them out. And there it is. Give it a taste test. I mean, it tastes very mapley. It's a lovely piece of candy. You can spread it on like an English muffin, it's good. You can use it in your coffee, it's good. You can heat it back up and pour it on ice cream, and it goes back to this stage on ice cream. Is pretty fascinating. There's a lot of things you can do with it. There's a lot of things you can do with it in liquid too, but this is just one more outlet, and that is my contribution to the first April maple syrup cast iron cooking. We used a cast iron kettle on a stove, and we used a cast iron tin, which worked, but I'm not going to beat it hard enough to get them out. I'm afraid of breaking it. And the candy molds were much more flexible. Like the my grandmother used to use a bread tin and do it in one big slab, and then she'd shave it all up and do a sugar. And you could do that with this too. You could dig it out and it would be like a sugar. But you'd want to go a little over softball stage to have sugar. You'd want to be getting towards the hard stage where it'll actually grind right up into a powder. Anyway, y'all have a nice day. I hope you like this one. Okay, this one did come out. This is what I was hoping to get to. I made a mistake using the cast iron. You can't get them out. A standard candy tin is flexible. This is not flexible, and I'm not gonna beat on it hard enough. I got that one out with a knife, but you can see those two, it breaks them all up to get them out of there. And thank you for watching. That's where I wanted to end up, with a little maple sugar candy. We'll do another taste test because the one I did a take test on I'm not going to use. There's a little piece of one of the ones I dug out with a knife, and very nice. It's real nice granular maple syrup. You can kind of crunch it up on toast. You can eat it just like that. Anything you want with it. Thank you for mentioning me, Sean. You have a great day.